Well, Pep Guardiola took over at Manchester City in 2016. He's had a lot of success since then, but that Champions League is still elusive for him at the Etihad. Now, joined by Shaka Hislop and Rob Dawson, because Rob, you've written an article about Pep Guardiola, who might have been there for 6 years, but he's in the last year of his contract, and it's kind of gone under the radar for now. First of all, what are you hearing about him potentially agreeing new terms at Manchester City? Is there any question about that? And if there is, then what next?
Yeah, I mean, really, City are at kind of crunch time with this. As you say, Pep Guardiola is in the last year of his contract. He'll be there for this season. If he doesn't decide to stay, we're getting to around the time when City need to start looking for contingency plans. They need to start looking for a new manager. So ultimately, they need to know sooner rather than later from Pep Guardiola about whether or not he's going to stay. I don't think there's any doubt at all that City want him to stay. You referenced that success that he's had at the Etihad. Obviously, if you've got a manager who can deliver that kind of success, why would you want him to leave? Pep Guardiola is one of the best managers in the world. I think the problem that they may have is what Pep Guardiola wants to do. He's been there for a while now. He's lasted longer at City than he did at either Barcelona or Bayern Munich. Obviously, the Champions League has been elusive for now, and it's something that he wants to win, but it's whether he feels motivated and driven to carry on at City. He has everything he needs at City. He has a great working relationship with the club and the executives there. So there's, on the face of it, there's nothing to suggest that he doesn't want to stay. But ultimately, it will be his decision. He's got such a great relationship with City that ultimately it will be down to him, and he'll get the final say. If he wants to stay, he will. If he wants to leave at the end of the season, he'll do that too.
Yeah, so Shaka, are you surprised it's gone less than 12 months before the end of his contract and still nothing has been agreed, either staying or going?
Well, I'm surprised by the normal course of business. But then if you're Guardiola, I honestly don't think he's looking that far afield as to what challenge comes next. And from a City perspective, they have their man. They'll wait until he absolutely signs for somebody else before they start making contingency plans or looking elsewhere. So I think this is one that may run its course. We may find ourselves coming a whole lot closer to the end of his contract, if not into the summer next year, and then there'll be an announcement. As Rob points out, I think Guardiola is happy at City. The club is very well run. It's got his fingerprints all over it. So I don't see any reason for Guardiola to be looking elsewhere. And certainly there's even less than that for City to be contemplating life after Guardiola. Not just yet, anyway.
Yeah, Rob, I don't think this is about money. The question I would have for you would kind of be, what if he did get success? What if he did win the Champions League? What if he'd been like, yeah, City completed that? Would he want to continue? Would he want to stay in the Premier League? Or do you think if he gets the Champions League with City, he might fancy another challenge elsewhere?
Well, certainly I think that he's got ambitions beyond the Etihad. I mentioned before, I'm not sure that any other club in the world could deliver him the things that he needs in the way that City have done. That club, as Shaka says, is built entirely around him. He's got executives that he worked with at Barcelona in key positions that he knows very well. He's been given money to sign players. You look at other clubs in the world that he might want to join. Could they give him the foundations to build a successful team in the way that City have done? Probably not. But we are led to believe that he has got ambitions beyond the Etihad, particularly possibly to manage a national team. Because of his background in Spain and his affiliation with Catalonia as well, that possibly he couldn't manage Spain, but there are other jobs available out there. There's even been talk of maybe one day managing the US men's national team. There was links last year with possibly managing Brazil. That real kind of high level national team and take them into a World Cup, which in terms of managers all over the world is prestigious to be able to lead a national team into a World Cup. So I don't think he wants to manage into his 60s and 70s in the way that Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson did. I think that he'll be long gone before then. But I think he does have other ambitions, and particularly looking at a national team, it would depend on what kind of fit that they could offer him. The US men's national team is particularly intriguing given the number of players in the US that they could call upon. The depth of talent that they've got all the way through that country. Could he possibly take the US men's national team and win a first World Cup? I'm not suggesting that that's on the cards right now, but it's certainly intriguing to think that he would be open to take that offer.
Shaka, this is something I want to get into as well, because as Rob mentioned, it has been spoken about before that Pep wants to take charge of a national side, but he's 51. He's loving life at Man City. Even if he wins the Champions League, I'm sure he would want to stay. Yes, that might be something on the horizon. But Rob's talking about the players and the caliber of players coming through the ranks at the US men's national team. That is still way down here compared to where he is right now with the players that he's dealing with. And having played as many times as you did for Trinidad and Tobago, with a national team manager, you're kind of sitting kicking your heels for long parts of the year because you don't have that many fixtures. That's not Pep Guardiola right now at 51, is it?
Yeah, if Pep really wants to challenge, let him come and manage Trinidad and Tobago. We lost it to Tajikistan last week. I'm sure he loved that. I just don't see it. If Guardiola takes over the national team, right now I can only see it being Spain. If he accomplishes whatever he wants to accomplish with them, maybe then he can start looking elsewhere, US men's national team, or dare I say Trinidad and Tobago. Other than that, I just don't see it. The only thing that makes sense, other than and this is a distant second to sitting in Manchester City, is him just taking another sabbatical. The clubs that can afford Guardiola, I don't think are in the best of places right now, and let's be honest, Guardiola can afford to take another sabbatical as he did after he left Barcelona, and just sit back and see exactly how he feels. Decide what he wants to do, whether it is take over a national team or whether it is just kind of retire early and enjoy the body of work that he's put together. But as I say, that comes as a really distant second to staying on at Manchester City. Everything else for me outside of that just feels like we're trying to fit round pegs in square holes. It's not really going for me.
Yeah, Rob, let's wrap this up. And I think Shaka's hit the nail on the head there. We're having this conversation right now about what's potentially next for Pep Guardiola. Look, all of us would be hugely surprised if he's not at Manchester City, having signed a new contract, going into his 8th season, the season after this one. Because you can have all the money in the world, but if you're happy in your job and you're enjoying what you're doing, and you can pretty much get any job you want in 10 years' time if you still want to be around, then surely he's still City manager this time next year.
I think so. I mean, I think that's far and away the most likely possibility. Sitting here right now discussing his future, I think it's likely that he'll probably sign for another 2 years, possibly even 3. As I say, the conditions for success at City are beyond anything that he would find anywhere else. We've not even mentioned that he's got Erling Haaland, one of the best young players in world football, in his team right now. Why would you want to give up the opportunity to work with him for the next 2 or 3 years? In terms of building a team capable of winning the Champions League, you've got the premier goal scorer in the world right now in your team. So why would you want to give that up? The average age of his City team at the moment isn't particularly large. It's about 26. It's not like he's in charge of an aging team that would need refreshed, and he would need to oversee a massive rebuild, because he wouldn't. The conditions at City for success for the next 2, 3, 5, even 10 years are all there. And if you look around the world in terms of what other jobs would be available, nothing really would appeal in the way that City does, because that entire club at the moment is built around what he needs to build a fantastic, successful football team.
If it ain't broke, it doesn't need fixed. All it needs is a little signature on a bit of paper to keep Pep at the Etihad.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.